Smite me, oh mighty Smiter!
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I am ready to drop on you ready for this? My 9th iteration of my Holy Smiter Paladin. Unequivocally the strongest one we've ever made, already over 400 corruption. As always, I will cover every single facet of the build. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay, let's get this mana down. Now we are using the Devotion Amulet, which means you want as much maximum mana as humanly possible with the lowest amount of mana without going negative, because it's going to give you a huge boost to your overall smite damage. And the skills we are using are Smite, Holy Aura, Sigils, Volatile Reversal, and Healing Hands. And we have a free shield rush on our bar. Well, that was a pretty good run. And know that we are not spec'd into that skill. One of the best movement skills in the game, Shield Rush, and you get it for free. Because Holy Smiter, we are going to get base 46 spell damage because we use a shield. So it's one of those rare cases where not only do you do more damage, but also you get more sustain because you get to hold a shield. And it's a pretty simple build. You're going to run around, and I won't use the movement speed anymore. I'll slow down. We're going to run around, manually cast Smite. Since you're manually casting it, it is automatically casting Healing Hands. And since you're manually casting it, you have a 36% chance to double cast it. And ultimately, what we're doing is we're just running around, keeping our mana low, using Sigils to control our mana, Volatile Reversal so the enemies take more damage, and that we cast and run quicker. And by the way, gameplay is 433 corruption. This is 433. Done. Let me show you a boss fight. All right, Shade of Oribus at 430 corruption. In this build, we're pretty tanky. We've got awesome armor, maxed resistances, block chance, block effectiveness. We generate ward because we are using Twisted Heart. We have sustain on spell from our blessing. We've got critical strike avoidance, and look at our endurance on our health. That is the yellow bar there. I think we're at 1300 endurance threshold on 60% endurance percent. So we literally have almost all of the survivability mechanics. And you can see here from a damage output and survival, Shade of Oribus at 430 down. Let me show you how to recreate the newly refreshed Holy Smiter. So now let's break down the skills, starting with Holy Aura, and I'll try and show you the order in which you want to take these points. Now for me, I go to survivability first. To the left here, you're going to get elemental resistance, endurance, you're going to get block effectiveness, you're going to get health regen, you're going to get cleanse, ailments, and poison. And then when you come down here to the right, you're going to get attack speed or cast speed. You're going to get crit strike chance and crit strike multiplier. Now, no, when you are looking at this tree, you want to move points around based upon your needs. So for example here, if this 15% critical strike multiplier, obviously it's not that much. You can move those over here to endurance or elemental resistance if you need to round out your numbers. Holy Aura. Moving over to Healing Hands. Now, obviously, we are a direct cast of Smite, which means every single time you click Smite, it's also going to trigger Healing Hands, which is awesome. And you want to come down here and you want to make Healing Hands free. So that way you don't have to worry about the mana cost for Healing Hands. You then want to come up here and you want to grab everything that boosts your spell. And you're going to do more spell damage based upon your healing effectiveness. You're going to come down here. Damage per level, you're going to come here, multiplicative damage, but cast slower. You're not casting it, so it doesn't matter. And then the last 4 points you want over here, which is going to boost your healing effectiveness, which in turn is going to give you more damage. Moving over to Sigils of Hope. Now on here, you want to go to the right first, and you want to boost your endurance threshold, you want to boost your duration, you want maximum sigils, you want meditation, and you want 3 and 2 sigils of the Guardian. So when you're looking at the gear later, remember that your endurance threshold, your block chance, and block effectiveness is going to be much higher because of the boosts you get from sigils. You're then going to come to the left and get a boost to your damage, and you actually want the cast speed for Sigils of Hope because this is going to help maintain your mana and recast them very easily when you're at low mana. Moving over to our damage dealer, which is Smite. Now for this, you want to come to the right first and turn this into a lightning skill, and you want it to hit multiple targets. You're then going to come right down here, could not be easier, and take this tree. This is going to give you double cast chance, which normally you cannot take this because people use Smite not casting it themselves. But here, 1 in 3 chance you are going to get a double cast of your Smite. Feels really good. You're going to get 250% multiplicative. You're going to make sure that doesn't kill your life, and then base crit. Any added points you want to put into base crit, and then you want to put right here into deep impact. I wish I had 100 points into Smite because there's so much good stuff on this tree, but this is what we're working with. Last but not least, volatile reversal, and I have it in the pretty simple setup. Come up here, cooldown recovery, global attack speed, global movement speed. You want to come down here and get the 300% recovery speed, so the cooldown's only 3.8 seconds. Then come down here and make it where enemies take 30% more damage. Now, before we move off of skills, I want to talk about volatile reversal. Some people are not a fan of this skill. Personally, I absolutely love it. But if you don't use it very often, you don't like it, no big deal. You can totally take Javelin if you want. I know a lot of people love this skill. And you can come down here and take Battle Standard. And of course, Battle Standard is going to give you Smite, and it'll auto cast your Smite and boost your Smite's critical strike chance. So if you're not a fan of volatile reversal, nothing on the build changes other than you spec out of this skill and you go into Javelin. Now let's talk passives. Our Holy Smiter is currently level 100, and we're going to start with the base Sentinel tree. We've got 7 into Fearless, 1 into Stalwart, 5 into Armor Clad, 5 into Valiant Charge, and 2 into Time and Faith. Now, for this build, I just want to say it again. You are always trying to hit the sweet spot on your mana, which means as low as humanly possible, but not negative. And it does take some time to figure that out. And the easiest way to figure it out is right here on Time and Faith. Sometimes you need 1 point. Sometimes you need 4 points. Sometimes you need no points. Just know this is the node you're going to mess with to make sure you keep your mana low, but not negative. Also on the base tree here, I have no points into Juggernaut because I don't need any void resistance or fire resistance. But if you need void resistance or fire resistance, you could just move the points out of Fearless and put them into Juggernaut. Okay. Moving on to Paladin, 8 into Conviction, 8 into Defiance, 1 into Honor, and 10 into Heaven Fire. Now we use a shield, and what's great about this build is not only are you going to get tons of defense from your shield, you are also going to get a huge boost to your spell damage. One of the main reasons I actually made this build back in the day. And when you come here, you're also going to get 16 points, so 46 base spell and armor because you are holding a shield. We have 8 points into Dedication, which is going to boost your attunement. 1 point into Shield Wall. We don't care about dodge, so take the extra 5% block. 1 into Faith Armor, 12 into Prayer. This is going to give you Endurance Threshold and Health. We have 10 into Holy Precision because we want the spell crit chance and the lightning crit multiplier. This node is very important. And then 12 points right here into Duality, which is going to give you mana damage, healing, and health. Also an awesome node. To round out, we have 3 points in Forge Guard, which is going to give us some block effectiveness and block chance, and 11 points into Void Knight, which is going to give us physical resistance, void resistance, health, and 10% or 11% multiplicative damage. Those are the passives. Moving over to last Epoch tools, we're going to break down the blessings, idols, and gear, starting with blessings. We're using Spell Leech for a form of sustain to keep your life up, all resistance, max mana, of course, and double armor. So pretty simple from a blessing standpoint. For idols, we're taking 4 idols that buff Smite, and each one of those is going to give us health base. We're using triple health idols, well, double health, 3 of them. And then I was struggling on the build planner to round out physical resistance, so I threw on a couple blessings for healing, effectiveness, and physical resistance. But if you don't have that problem when you're playing the game, just use another double health idol. Now, when you're looking at gear, there's only 1 item required for this build, and that is the Devotion Amulet. And the Devotion Amulet does something awesome. It's going to boost your crit chance, Right? It's going to boost your cast speed. It's going to boost your endurance, healing effectiveness, lightning penetration, lightning damage. But there's one affix that makes this very special. +1 spell damage with Smite per 5 missing mana. Now, to put that into perspective, this build planner right now only has singular tier 6 mana on it, which means it should be fairly easy to build, and we're at 1,083 mana. And if you depleted this mana, that singular affix right there would basically turn into a 2-handed staff. It would give you an extra weapon, because that would give you 200 base spell damage from that 1,000 mana. It doesn't actually give you a staff. It's just the power of the staff, if that makes sense. But this item is absolutely required, and you want as much mana as humanly possible. Now, the shield we are using is Soul Bastion. I get asked about this all the time. The reason why we're using Soul Bastion is this is the easiest shield to get that has the most benefits that you can get 3 LP on. So easy to find a 2 or 3 LP Soul Bastion. I've got a couple 3 LPs right now. And ultimately, this is going to give you block effectiveness, and this is going to give you soul charges, which is going to mark enemies. So this is going to be able to slam easily, block effectiveness, and enemies will have 25% less resistance. It's a really good shield. We are using Sun Seal. Not required because our mana is going to be down all the time, so you're still going to have to mainly cast Sigils, but this is still a great item for this build. Again, easy to find with legendary potential. And when it comes to your relic, we are using Twisted Heart. This helped us push past 400 corruption, but it is not required, and you have a lot of options. So if you don't want to use Twisted Heart, you could come in here and use Storm Carved Testament. This is going to give you even more mana. So watch, when we click this, our mana is now over 1,200, so you can use Storm Carved Testament, and you'll actually be a lot stronger and do more damage, but you will not be as tanky. And if you want to go on the cheap, you can use the Sphere right here. This is going to give you Water Orb that's going to boost your lightning damage. It's also going to give you mana and some resistances. And again, this is very easy to find with legendary potential on it. So you've got some options when it comes to your relic. Now I'll go over the other items one at a time. Helmet. Double mana, and you want this base, reduced bonus damage taken from critical strikes. When you pair this with these boots, you don't have to worry about taking crits ever. But again, you have to have the right bases. For our boots, we're using attunement, armor, and life. For our armor, we're using double mana, armor, and health. Belt, lightning damage, cleanse, double life. Gloves, mana, crit, life. Ring, attunement, spell, endurance, health, and our weapon. Okay, now we're going to talk weapon for a little bit. We're using spell, crit strike, multiplier, lightning penetration, and chance to chill. Now, that T5 spell damage, you could also put on T5 lightning. So T5 spell, T5 lightning, T5 spell, critical strike chance, or tier 5 cast speed. That affix, you have 4 options for it. But you definitely want a Crystal Wand because that's going to give you an additional 60 mana. Now, when you are looking at this build altogether, and again, the items we chose were all tier 21. This is not insane gear at all. You have maxed resistances. You have 9,000 armor. You have 55% block chance with a 25% block effectiveness. And these are going to be much higher when you have your skill sigils out. You have awesome endurance, and endurance is going to be a lot better when you have your skill sigils out. And you have reduced bonus damage taken, so you don't have to worry about that. So no crits, awesome endurance, awesome block chance, awesome block effectiveness, awesome armor, awesome resistances, and you've got 3,600 life. And if you're using Twisted Heart, you'll be generating ward. So now let's talk leveling. Aaron, this is great, but how do I take it from early game to end game? I will show you. Now, there's one skill in Sentinel that is good early, mid, and late game. It is so much fun to play, and that is, of course, Rive. Now, Rive does a couple of things. What I would do is I would come down here and then work your way up and take kill threshold, and then come down here and get that critical strike chance. Rive is an AoE melee attack. It will just... literally, if you only use this skill, you would cruise through the entire campaign. But what you can do, since you're a Paladin, is once you unlock Paladin, you can pair this up with this node right here, which is Cleric's Hammer. And every single time you use Rive, you are also going to trigger Healing Hands, just like we're doing with Smite, but this is melee instead of spell. And you can do the exact same thing, make it free so it doesn't cost any mana, even though you probably shouldn't have to worry about that. And then you could come down here and boost its damage, turning it into a melee attack. So you will have Rive and you will have Healing Hands. Now for this build, you also need a way to move around. If you plan on using a shield, you can use Shield Rush, which I personally really like, or you can come up and take Lunge. The choice is yours, but the way you level with this build, it's through Rive. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new and improved Holy Smiter? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I can do to take this to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Couple of asks at the end. One, please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, only if you think I've earned it. Check out the Discord. We are now over 4,200 members. We draw a giveaway every single 2 weeks just for hanging out and being a member of the community. Join the Discord. The link is in the description. And the best way to support is Patreon. It is the first link in the description. We have movie night coming up next week, and the following week we have game night. You get exclusive content and access to the VIP lounge. I'm done. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.